Three beloved tales. Little Red Riding Hood. Stories around the world.
Little Red Riding Hood.
What is a fairy tale?
What is a fairy tale?
Once upon a time, before the age of books, people gathered to tell stories.
Once upon a time, below the age of books, people gathered to tell stories.
They told tales of fairies and magic, princes and witches.
They told tales of princes and magic, princes and witches.
Ideas of love, jealousy,
Idea of love, jealousy,
kindness and luck filled the stories. Some provided lessons.
Some provided lessons.
Others just entertained.
Others just entertained.
Most did both.
Most did both.
These fairy tales passed from
These fairy tales passed from
neighbor to neighbor, village to village, land to land. As the stories spun across seas and over mountains,
seas and over mountains,
details changed to fit each culture. A poisoned slipper became a poisoned ring. A king became a sultan. A wolf became a tiger. Over time, fairy tales were collected and written down. Around the world today, people of all ages love to read or hear these timeless stories. For many years to come, fairy tales will continue to live happily ever after in our imaginations. Little Red Riding Hood, a German fairy tale. Illustrated by Colleen Madden. Once upon a time, there lived a sweet girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She got her name from a red velvet riding hood she wore. It was a gift from her adoring grandmother. One day, the girl's mother gave her a loaf of bread and a bottle of wine. She said, "Take these to your grandmother. She is ill and weak. And don't stray from the path." Little Red Riding Hood set off through the woods. Along the way, she met a wolf. She didn't know he was a wicked beast, so she wasn't afraid. "What are you carrying in that basket?" the wolf asked. "Bread and wine for my grandmother," the girl answered. "Where does she live?" asked the wolf. "In a cottage under 3 big oak trees," said the girl. The wolf grinned. "She is a tender young thing," he thought. "She will taste better than the old grandmother. I must be crafty." The wolf walked alongside Little Red Riding Hood for a while. Then he said, "Let's race to your grandmother's house and see who gets there first. I'll go this way, and you cut through the trees." "What a grand idea!" the girl exclaimed. She left the path and ran into the woods. The wolf reached grandmother's house first and knocked on the door.
"It's Little Red Riding Hood."
"It's Little Red Riding Hood,"
he said in a sweet voice.
"Come in, dear,"
said grandmother. The wolf opened the door and swallowed the poor old woman. He put on her spare cap, nightgown, and glasses and got into bed to wait. Little Red Riding Hood soon arrived. She called, "Hello!" and pulled back the bed covers. The girl thought her grandmother looked very strange.
Grandmother,
Grandmother,
what big ears you have.
She said.
You have.
The better to hear you
No better to hear you
With,
with.
said the wolf.
Said the wolf.
What big eyes you have.
As you have.
She exclaimed.
She exclaimed.
The better to see you with. What
See
big hands you have.
hands you have.
The better to hug you with.
No better to hug you with.
Grandmother, what big teeth you have.
You have.
Little Red Riding Hood cried.
The better to eat you with.
The wolf
Better to eat you with. The wolf
snarled. He jumped out of bed
jumped out of bed.
and swallowed the poor girl.
The poor girl
Now the wolf felt full.
fell full.
He lay down on the bed and began to snore very loudly.
Very loudly.
A hunter passed by and heard the wolf's snores.
Snores.
He saw the wolf on the
The
bed.
wolf on the bed.
He knew the wolf must have eaten the grandmother, so he grabbed a pair of shears and
So she grabbed a pair of shears
cut open the wolf's belly.
and cut open the wolf's belly.
Out jumped Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother.
And her grandmother.
Little Red Riding Hood ran outside and fetched some large stones.
So
She and the hunter filled the wolf's belly with them. When the wolf awoke,
when the wolf awoke,
he tried to run off, but the stones were so heavy he fell down dead.
down dead.
The hunter skinned the wolf and took the pelt home with him.
The pail home with
Grandmother ate the bread and drank the wine Little Red Riding Hood had brought.
Red Riding Hood had brought and
Felt better.
felt better.
Little Red Riding Hood told herself she'd
Told herself she'd
never again stray from the path in the woods.
In the woods.
The False Grandmother, an Italian fairy tale, illustrated by Eva Montanari.